Tired of everyone telling you to find your passion, but no one telling you how? Welcome to the Korean Connection, and I'm your host, Korean, an attorney with a passion for empowering others to use their many talents and skills towards a path of self-discovery and alignment. Join me as I share my personal stories, professional insights, and practical tips, and how you can connect the dots between what you're great at and turning your passions into purpose. Let's connect. Push it to the left, make it go no more. Make it like no, I'm coming back home. I'm trying to roll all of my you. I'ma be the greatest, write my name in the stone. Write my name in the stone. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Write my name in the stone. Cause I'm coming back home. Cause I'm coming back home. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Korean Connection. I am your host, Korean, and today we're diving into something that keeps many parents awake at night. How do we prepare our children for a future that we can't even imagine? Guys, here's a startling statistic that'll grab your attention. The World Economic Forum predicts that 65% of children entering primary school or elementary school today will work in job categories that don't yet exist. Meanwhile, 71% of employers say that they value emotional intelligence over grades. Yet most schools, traditional schools, still prioritize test grades over these essential life skills. This episode explores the critical gap between traditional education and the real-world skills children need to thrive in an uncertain future. With 65% of today's elementary students expected to work in jobs that don't yet exist, we are going to discuss how parents can supplement classroom learning with emotional intelligence, financial literacy, communication skills, and resilience-building strategies that matters as much as grade for long-term success. In today's episode, we are exploring the 4 critical skills that your kids need but aren't learning in traditional classrooms. Okay? Again, emotional intelligence, financial literacy, communication abilities, and resilience. And we'll discuss why these skills are just as important as grades that help to develop strategies that you can develop at home. Plus, we will hear why 92% of professionals now say that soft skills are more important than technical expertise. Now let's talk about the skill gap that we see within traditional schools. Current traditional school systems focus on academic subjects while neglecting the practical life skills that kids need. While schools prioritize individual work and following directions, the real world demands collaboration, initiative, and problem solving. Whether traditional schools prepare students for real life experiences is a genuine question that we all have. How many times have we asked ourselves, when am I ever going to use this knowledge in school, right? You know, we dissect the earthworms, but how many of these real skills that we learn in the classroom are we really going to be taking into our daily lives? And how helpful will they be for the future? For instance, instead of asking students what do they want to be when they grow up, how about we ask, what problem is it that you want to solve? Asking a child what problem they want to solve in this world not only connects their interest to their passion, but it provides them with a sense of purpose that they need in order to feel that sense of fulfillment. I mean, that's what this whole platform is about, connecting your passions to purpose. So why ask them what you want to do when you grow up? That doesn't help the child to think about, what is it that I'm great at? And what problems can I solve with this talent of mine that's a natural ability? With employers now prioritizing abilities over degrees, companies such as Google have apprenticeship programs that value hands-on experiences over the traditional credentials, right? And with the rapid growth of technology and the change that is taking place in the workplace, the gap between the industry and education is widening. And the truth is, adaptability and lifelong learning will be the key survival skills that the kids need today. There's the days of, selecting a career and going to school to prepare you just for that career, and then never having to go to school or learn any more other than the on-the-job training that you'll naturally get. Those days are over. Think about yourself. How many of us in our big age right now have to think about learning AI, learning technology, learning new skills, getting all these certificates that companies are really looking for over the law degree, right? Over the internship that you had back in 1998. They are looking at what skills do you currently have today? What adaptability do you currently have today in order to move with the driving force of technology? So gone are those days that you can, just study to be one thing and learning stops at a certain period in time. The fact of the matter is, children with higher emotional intelligence pay better attention, they're more engaged in school, they have more positive relationships, they earn higher grades. They also learn how to regulate their behaviors better than most and show empathy. Research from Yale University speaks to 5 core emotional intelligence skills. The first is recognizing the emotion, then understanding the causes of that emotion and their consequences, being able to label the emotion accurately, and expressing emotion appropriately and regulating your behavior. Now, let's look at the first one. How do you recognize your emotion? You can start by asking, how am I feeling? Take cues from your body language, from your posture, from your energy level, from your breathing, from your heart rate, and try to think about how can we identify this level of pleasantness or energy, right? What is it that I'm actually feeling? Identify what it is, right? And the causes of that. And understand what happened that led me to feel this way. Because as feelings change throughout the day, think about the possible causes of these feelings. Identify the people, the things, the thoughts, the events that led to this uncomfortable feeling that can help you both manage and anticipate them in the future to prepare for more an effective response. Another way is to label your emotions. Label your emotions. What word best describes how I'm feeling? Now, although there are almost 2,000 emotion words in the English language, most of us use very limited language when we're talking about our emotions. We either, think about when you ask your child, how was school today? Good. Okay. Fine. How are you feeling? Happy. Happy, I guess happy can, oftentimes I'm just like, fine. That's really the response I get, right? You want to be able to label your feelings or have your kids label their emotions. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling sad. This is my mood. You want your child to be able to express what it is that they're feeling. How can you express appropriately what I'm feeling for this time and place? There are many ways to express each of our feelings. And at different times, different feelings can come in different contexts. There are different forms of expressions. There are some forms of expressions that's more effective than others. But explaining to children what we are doing and why, as we express different feelings, whether at school or work, it provides them with the models of different strategies to express their own emotions and to regulate their emotions. What can I do to maintain my feelings? What can I do to not continue to feel this way or to shift the way I'm feeling, right? If I don't want to continue feeling this way, you can have short-term strategies to manage the emotions in a moment, as well as long-term strategies to manage those emotions over time, right? Another thing that you want to do is you want to get, for instance, my daughter, Olivia, she has a very difficult time just expressing her emotions. Now, she communicates very well. When she's speaking to her friends, she speaks very freely. But over time, when you ask her how to express herself, if you ask her to explain herself, these kids have so much difficulty just expressing themselves because, everything is so abbreviated and shortened. And we use emojis now really to express how we feel. But children really lack the ability to express their emotions. Now, these are just some short tips of, what you can do in order to get students or children to express themselves better in a way that's more explorative of their feelings, right? You want children to be able to be more aware and self-aware of what's happening to them. Why do they feel that way? How your actions can affect how someone else feels, right? Teaching them that sort of mindfulness that is missing. So family, what does this look like? What is the real world application? Well, here's what it looks like in practice. Perhaps instead of asking your child to use your words, right? We all say that, use your words when your child is frustrated. Try asking them simple question of why. Let them explain the situation independently before you offer your input. And what this does, this builds their emotional awareness and their self-regulation skills. This week, I want you to practice emotional coaching with your child. When they express a big feeling, first, validate it, right? Remember that emotions operate on a spectrum, and helping children identify these layers of emotion, it benefits their self-awareness. And so one of the other things that we want to talk about that schools generally don't teach children is financial literacy, money skills for life. Okay, now let's talk about financial education in this country. Do you know that only 7 states require high school students to take personal finance courses? Yet we know and all know how financial literacy is crucial for lifelong success. Here are some age-appropriate financial concepts that you can do with your children at home. Discuss how kids can learn budgeting, saving, and investing early to develop these strong financial habits. And you want to explain how financial education empowers their independence and prepare them for the real world challenges that they're going to face. And how can you do this? You want to give them responsibility by, giving them a budget. Giving kids a budget, it teaches them concepts such as living within their means. Things that we as adults, we struggle with. Why? Because we never got this education in our youth. I never had a financial literacy class when I was in high school. I didn't even have a financial literacy class when I was in college, right? And so giving children a budget, it teaches them concepts like living within their means. It teaches them avoiding debt traps, right? And saving and planning for the future. So some practical tips that you can give, start by giving younger children choices about their spending. And you can start with giving them an allowance, right? And if you're having, if you have teenagers, like my son is 14 years old, involve the teens in the budgeting discussions for the house and help them. This will help them to understand that there are real costs to the items that they want. We say things routinely, I yell things in the house about, to my kids, turn off the light, electricity isn't free. But what does that really mean to them? What are they really getting from me even saying that to them? The goal is developing critical thinking skills about money and their decisions. And so one of the things that you can do, instead of just complaining about the light bill, show them the light bill, right? Challenge them to, give them the light bill and say, listen, this was a light bill for the month of March. This is how much energy we used. This is what happens when we don't turn off the light in the bathroom, when we leave the fan and the AC running all day, even while we're not in the room. This is what it looks like on paper. When the bill is due, this is what you get. And then also, liken it to something, some deficit where, kids kind of understand deficits, a lot. And when you take things away from them, you say, one of the things that I did with my children, I said, if we can get this light bill down to a certain amount, the money that we save, we can use that for an excursion. That's something that we can do. So it also gives them something to look forward to, okay? One of the other skills that schools definitely do not teach children is effective communication. And we all know that communication is the universal life skill that we all need, because discussion goes just beyond talking. Communication involves both understanding and expressing your thoughts, right? Strong communication skills lead to better relationships, emotional management, and academic success. Strategies that encourage strong communication skills, public speaking, through debate clubs, participating in team sports, shows collaboration skills, and engaging in group projects shows, emotional regulation and how to manage your emotions when dealing and communicating with a large group of people. Listen, here's an easy starting point you can do as an activity. At dinner tonight, ask each family member to just share one thing that they learned today and ask them about a question that they still have, right? What lingering question do you have about something that you learned today? And what this does is challenges the child to build both expressive and listening skills while creating family connections at the dinner table. Okay? Look, the whole point is that we want to redefine success. Employers, our prospective employers, 94% of employers agree that skill-based hiring outperforms those selected based on degrees alone. And we also know, our research shows that skill-based employers or employees actually stay with a company 9% longer. Real-world preparation goes beyond traditional education because traditional education tries to develop rule followers, students who just sit quietly, while successful adults need to take initiative, build from scratch, and solve their own problems. So education needs a more balanced approach because while good grades remain important for university admissions, soft skills are more crucial for the workplace and overall success. And schools must try to prioritize teaching both academic subjects as well as life skills. So I'm challenging you to just shift your mindset. And for instance, instead of asking your child, what do you want to do when you grow up? Just try asking the child, what problems do you want to solve? Because this allows you to shift the focus from job titles to impact and purpose. Okay? We are preparing our children for resilience in an uncertain world. And preparing for the unknown, we can't predict what specific challenges our students or children will face, but we can equip them with adaptability skills that we know they absolutely require and they will absolutely need in whatever future is to come. They will need the ability to adapt. Listen, resilience isn't about avoiding failures. It's about learning from it. So give your children the autonomy to experience small failures safely and then help them process what they've learned and how they can improve. Because remember, you're not just raising children, you are raising future adults who need skills that go far beyond what any test can measure. And guys, if this episode resonated with you, please share it with another parent who might benefit from these tips, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any future and practical strategies for connecting our passions to purpose. Remember, small, consistent efforts in developing these skills will compound into huge advantage for your children's future. Join us next time on the Korean Connection. Let's connect. Thank you guys for connecting with me today. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to my channel, The Korean Connection. To connect with me, you can email me at thekoreanconnection@gmail.com. And don't forget that sometimes your passion whispers before it roars. And if you're listening closely, the next episode might be where it gets louder. Let's connect. Push it to the